Okay, welcome back to Real Shift. My name's Joe. Today I'm going to be doing something a little bit differently. Since there are no current new movies in theaters, obviously, because everything's shut down due to the coronavirus pandemic and quarantine, I'm going to take this opportunity to basically start checking off movies on my film bucket list. And what I mean by that is classic movies that maybe I haven't got around to see yet, or that I've always wanted to see but never really took the time to go and do it. Some of them are quite embarrassing, quite honestly, that I haven't seen them, because I feel like I should have by this point. But nevertheless, I'm going to make the effort to see them all now. And the first one I'm going to talk about is Chinatown. For those that don't know, Chinatown is very highly regarded in the film world. It's regarded by some as one of the best movies ever made. It's definitely regarded as one of the best scripts ever made, or ever written, I should say. The main reason I wanted to watch it, to be quite honest, is because of the poster. The poster is very appealing to me. It's your throwback, typical hand-drawn poster, but it really gives you the neo-noir mystery detective feeling that they are trying to convey with the film itself. And I've always loved the poster. I'm familiar with the poster, and that's the power of movie posters, really. When you have a really good one, it makes you want to see that movie. And that's something that modern movies are missing, quite frankly. But with Chinatown, I think they knocked it out of the park. It's really great. It's obviously going to be in the thumbnail, but if you haven't seen it, definitely check it out. So Chinatown is directed by Roman Polanski, who is a very controversial director, and regardless of how you feel about him as a person, he is a very good director. He is very good behind the camera. I'm reminded of The Pianist, which is another film of his that I'm a big fan of, to be quite honest. I think that's a phenomenal movie, actually. I watch it pretty frequently. It's depressing as hell, but it's very good. Very well made, very well acted, of course, but he is very skilled behind the camera, and all of his skills are on full display even here in Chinatown. And this is going back to 1974 when this was released. So this movie is a movie probably unlike any other, in a sense that it's a real, legit mystery movie. And what I mean by that is, every time a question is answered, I think they throw two more questions on top of you to make it even more of a mystery. Like, you think you have it figured out, and then they throw another curveball in there. There's a lot of twists and turns, and I wasn't expecting that. As many twists and turns as you get. I wasn't expecting quite the amount that we got. The biggest reason, I think, for this and why it works is the script from Robert Towns, which again is highly regarded as one of the best scripts ever made, and I see why. It's just so tight, and it's so perfectly crafted, and every single little detail is just a building block to get you to the next point, and it's just so well done and so well written that I totally understand why everyone says that you should study this if you plan to write scripts. It totally makes sense. Like, the amount of detail and the little details that are in there. And again, there's stuff I probably missed because this is my first time watching the movie ever. I really actually want to go back now and watch it again, because I'm sure there's stuff, especially in the beginning, that I didn't necessarily catch. And that's the sign of a good movie, when it has that rewatch value, for sure. This is definitely a film that plays with your expectations. You think it's going in one direction, and it goes in another. Drastically in another in some cases. And I'll get into more of that as the review goes on. There was a point in the movie where, I just wasn't sure where it was going. Like, I wasn't sure if it was going to go anywhere. I was like, is this what the whole movie is about? Because I wasn't expecting that. And I'll get into exactly what that is. But, so yeah, it played with my expectations a little bit, because I just wasn't quite sure what I was getting myself into, I guess. So basically the plot revolves around this Los Angeles private eye named Jake Getz. Sorry if I said that wrong. Who is hired by Evelyn Mulray to investigate her husband's infidelities. Well, there's more to this case than meets the eye, because eventually another woman basically confronts him, and she claims to be the real Mrs. Mulray. And this kind of starts a set in motion this a bit of a conspiracy, I guess you could say, and he's not really quite sure what's going on. Things further get complicated with the death of Mrs. Mulwray's husband, Mr. Mulwray, of course, and this leads Jake down a path that he wasn't necessarily thinking he was going to get into when he took this case. So it's very keeps both the audience and the characters on their toes, which is very well done. So as far as Jack Nicholson goes, he gets a lot of praise for this movie, and you see why. Jack Nicholson, to me, is a natural-born movie star. Like, when he's on screen, you can't help but have your eyes on him. You can't take your eyes off him. And in this movie, I'm pretty sure he's in every single scene. Like, that's how crucial he is to the movie. And he doesn't really get a scene off. And he owns it. He makes it look effortless, too. It's just so easy to him to fall into this character and to fall into this world and make everything seem believable. And he truly is like one of the greatest actors of all time, and it's on full display here. Yeah, his performance is just off the charts. As far as his character too, like, it's probably one of the better main characters because he's a flawed main character. And what I mean by that is, like, first of all, he has immoral tactics sometimes with gathering info. He has a complicated relationship with law enforcement. So you get a sense that maybe he's not necessarily a nice guy, but you see things in him when he interacts with people that he does have a heart, or he does have some kind of, I guess, pride and a little bit of, I guess, just a need to, where he both wants to help people, but he also, in a way, loves the attention that it gets him, if that makes sense. So he's complicated in that aspect. Like, he's a good guy, but he has selfish tendencies about him. And unlike any other, like, detective character, or even main character for that matter, he doesn't have it all figured out. And he is along for the ride just like we are as viewers. Like, he is thrown for a loop just like we are. Like, he thinks he has it figured out, and then something happens, and he's like, doesn't know where it's going to go next. And that's, I think, really cool in a sense that he's not your typical, like, guy who just knows everything or he can figure anything out. Like, I think that makes him a better character, to be quite honest. Faye Dunaway's character is also pretty complex. I heard she was originally designed to basically be a trick by the filmmakers, because you're led to believe she's kind of this femme fatale type character, which was very prevalent in these old detective stories. But as the movie goes on, you come to realize that she's a little bit more complex than that. First, you don't really quite know how to take her. She's very mysterious, kind of. You know she knows more than what she's letting on. She's hiding something. But you come to realize eventually that she's not the one that is feared. She's actually more of a victim in this story. And I just thought that was really interesting how her character, even, it's hard to figure out until significantly later in the movie. So that was really cool too. I wasn't expecting this whole subplot about, like, this water crisis, and that's kind of the part that threw me off in the beginning, because the majority of the beginning of the movie is about this water crisis where they're stealing city water and they're trying to buy land and all this other stuff. So it's like, it's not what I was expecting. I was like, is this what this whole movie is about? Because that could get kind of dull, to be quite honest, real quick. But all it does is serve as a stepping block. Like, basically you're thinking, is the worst that people do is they're stealing city water here? No, because that's just the first step. You know, there's things, it turns into murder, and then it turns into, whatever, adultery, and then there's incest. Incest. There's a bunch of things in this movie, and the whole water scandal or whatever, or conspiracy, is just like a stepping block to get to that, to see how kind of evil this underworld in LA really is. And yeah, each subsequent step shows you more and more about LA and the ugly side of things. The final twist in the movie, and I just kind of mentioned it a second ago, it deals with incest. It really shocked me, and it must have really shocked people in 1974, because I was not expecting it, especially in a movie like this, and an older movie at that. I can imagine this was pretty taboo back in the day, but it's something I definitely wasn't expecting, and it made me feel very uncomfortable, and it stuck with me after the movie. And I just wasn't expecting that kind of emotional reaction, especially to a twist. You know, twists have become so common in movies these days that you almost expect them, if you understand what I'm saying. So in this particular case, though, didn't expect this at all. So that was something that definitely turned my head as far as like getting my attention with this movie. The biggest takeaway I think from this movie is the ending of it. It has a very dire ending. It's a situation where the good guys don't win, and basically everything that Jake has been telling you about Chinatown leading up to it is just confirmed by the end of the movie. It's not a good place. Bad things happen there is essentially what it comes down to. And the good guys don't necessarily always win, and in this case they don't win either. The bad guy doesn't get his comeuppance. He actually gets away with it, and he runs off with this girl, and you don't know what his intentions are, but you know they're evil with her. And the woman who's trying to save, you know, her daughter slash sister ends up dying from the police who misunderstand the situation. So it's like, yes, it's a very dire ending. So if you don't like movies that have, I guess, unhappy endings, maybe it's not for you. But for me, I think that's a breath of fresh air sometimes. It's just, you know, not everything is sunshine and rainbows. Not everything is going to turn out exactly how you want it to. And sometimes things are what they are, and you as a person have to deal with that. And that's basically what the character of Jake is expected to do. And it's just really a interesting way to finish off the movie. And yeah, I just thought it was, the ending really stuck with me, I will say that. And it made me, again, want to go back and watch it again. Other things I just want to mention quickly. The world itself of Los Angeles is just beautifully crafted, I think. I think Los Angeles itself is definitely a character in this movie. Not a good character. It's kind of portrayed, it's kind of portrayed glamorously, maybe at first, but then as you see it, you see the dark underworld of it. And also the score. It's a very old school score, but it works for this movie. It's a throwback again to the detective mystery movies that came before. So that was the intention, and it was very well done and well executed, and it works for the movie. It enhances the movie for sure. I think this is a movie that definitely requires multiple viewings, and I will be watching it again and probably purchasing it, to be quite honest, because now that I know what it is, now I can really watch it and let all those little details sink in, if you know what I mean. Because again, this is the first viewing, so you kind of have to just take it for what it is on your first viewing. And I didn't really want to watch other people's reviews either, because then that clouds my judgment, you know what I'm saying? So this is just going basically first reaction. So yeah, I'm really looking forward to watching it again to be able to better absorb all those details. And I understand now why it's so highly regarded, and that I'm glad that I was able to cross it off my list. I'm glad I made it my first film on my bucket list that I crossed off for this little series I'm going to be doing, because I definitely enjoyed it. I definitely recommend it for anyone who hasn't seen it, or if you're a film lover and you've kind of avoided it like I have, because I've seen a lot of movies, but there's even movies that I haven't seen. You know what I'm saying? There's always something that someone hasn't seen. So if there's a chance that someone watching this hasn't seen this movie, I definitely recommend that you go watch it if you're a film lover, or just a lover of good stories in general, because it's just really well done, really well crafted. So that's pretty much my thoughts on Chinatown. Again, highly recommended. Let me know what you guys thought about it. Think about Chinatown in the comments down below. Are you a fan of the movie? Did you not like it? If you saw it, have you never seen it? Let me know all of it. I want to know. I want to start a discussion if possible. I think it'd be really cool to discuss this film with someone, because it's definitely a film that begs to be discussed. There's a lot going on there, and there's a lot of meat to sink your teeth into. So yeah, let me know what you think about all this in the comments down below. Let me know what you thought about my review. Am I doing a good job? Am I not? Anything you want to talk about. So like, comment, share, subscribe to the channel, hit the bell for notifications, and I'll see you next time for my next bucket list review. Talk to you later.